Hey guys, Victor here with another random thought. Today we are going to look at skeptics versus believers. And when I'm talking about believers, I'm not talking about religion. I'm mostly here talking about people who believe in various paranormal things, invest time in exploring various paranormal things, ghosts, aliens, cryptids, stuff like that. What I basically want to talk about is how both sides have their flaws. Neither is perfect. Despite what both sides believe. I will do this in two ways. The first is to show you the most pathetic example of both sides, and the second is to basically say what I think both sides think of the other. To start with, okay, with believers. Worst example. You know how they say that a lie can run halfway around the world before the truth can get its shoes on? Well, it's the age of the internet. A lie can go around the world several times and visit every gift shop in every major city before the truth can take a shower and brush its teeth. A photo showed up on the internet of a mystery cryptid and found its way into all the paranormal magazines and all over the internet. And not like one doctored picture, there was several. It really was, whatever they were shooting was there. Thing is, well, look at it. To the average skeptical person, this is, in fact, a dead raccoon or dog or some sort of mammal that was bloated by the water, hair fell out because of the bloating and all that, and its face is partially messed up from, I don't know, a fish, or basically what could have killed it in the first place, anything. You don't assume that that is a mystery cryptid, but unfortunately everybody did, or at least all the people who were willing to believe it did, and yeah, eventually they found out, yeah, it's a raccoon, pretty much. A bunch of people basically going gaga over roadkill. That's pretty sad. You know, taking something that means nothing and just blowing it out of proportion. A skeptic would never do that, Yeah. Okay, a little background on the pathetic skeptic thing. Alright, if you've ever taken like a nighttime walk and you've passed through, you passed by under street lamps, you might notice that one will, you know, blink off or on as you walk under, and you stop and you think, did I do that? Is it like a motion sensor, or do I have some sort of jinx that turns it on or off? Or you know, you think, you try to establish causality. That's a superstitious thing, but it's what we do. Now, I saw an article I can't remember if it was Skeptical Inquirer, or Scientific American, but one of those where a professional skeptic went on to explain that, in fact, it has nothing to do with you. It's not psychic powers or whatever, or an aura or anything disrupting the electricity. It is simply that the city will periodically turn on and off the lights to prevent overheating, save on energy, and save on wear. So they're kind of on a cycle, and if you're walking, you're likely to hit one or two. Now, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I kind of figured it was like my jinx with machines, just a part of it, you know? How electronics and things don't tend to work with me. I know that's a superstitious thing anyway, but, you know, whatever. But, yeah, so it's interesting to find that out. The only problem is, this person she or he, I can't remember, seemed very proud to explain this to me, to enlighten me, and get rid of this superstitious thought. I believe Iron Man Australia, I can't remember exactly what he said, but to paraphrase, he says, I don't mind people pissing on other people's cornflakes, but don't try to pretend you're saving the world when you do it. It's that kind of annoying arrogance, that sort of overinflation of self-worth that really makes skeptics annoying. So yeah, both sides can get ridiculous if they go too much into their own little worlds. That said, what do they think of each other? Why do both sides exist? All right, a skeptic thinks of the believers that if random superstition is allowed to go unchallenged, and if things can't just be established in a causal effect, things will fall to chaos. People will end up going down ridiculous paths. Governments will follow just ridiculous stuff that isn't founded and isn't well tested, and people will get hurt in the process. This is not unfounded, this is not unreasonable. Now, the defense of the believers then, what do the believers think of the skeptics? Well, that's also, in my mind it's also valid, because they think, basically, that skepticism can lead to a sort of intellectual elitism. No new thing can be presented if you just... Skepticism, ideally, should be completely open-minded, in fact. Not closed-minded, but open-minded. But most people in practice will call themselves skeptic and be closed-minded. So if anything new shows up, they won't accept it simply because it's not already part of their worldview, and they'll call themselves skeptic for it. And that is not unprecedented. People have done that, and a lot of science has been held back over the years from just that kind of skeptical worldview. So they both sides, I think, are actually necessary. You need believers and people who are willing to go off on odd paths, and you need people who are going to try to ground the believers in reality. I don't think that a perfectly skeptical world would be a good idea, and I certainly don't think that a completely believer world would be a good idea either. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on skepticism and belief. Yeah, thanks for watching and have a good day.